A sleek alien vessel hovered silently in Earth's orbit, its reflective surface blending with the vastness of space. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with quiet efficiency. The Varlok Empire's reconnaissance squad, an elite group of genetically engineered soldiers, stood before their commanding officer. They were the pride of their species, strong, intelligent, and undefeated in countless campaigns across the galaxy. Yet, the briefing they were receiving filled the room with an unspoken unease. "Our mission is simple," the commander began, his voice calm but authoritative. "Observe and assess the human species. Determine the truth behind the claims. Are they truly as dangerous as whispers in the interstellar community suggest?" The squad exchanged doubtful glances. Humans, these primitive creatures confined to a single planet, had somehow managed to develop a reputation that rivaled even the most fearsome warrior races. It was absurd. Compared to the Varlok, their technology was laughable. Their biology was fragile. Yet, there were stories, persistent and troubling, about their ability to defy odds, destroy enemies far stronger than themselves, and even survive apocalyptic scenarios. Their ship's cloaking systems engaged, the squad initiated their surveillance. Earth unfolded below them, a chaotic swirl of vibrant cities, endless oceans, and untamed wilderness. The aliens accessed public broadcasts, historical archives, and live feeds, analyzing humanity from every angle. Their first impressions aligned with their expectations: disorganized, emotional, and inefficient. "They lack unity," one soldier remarked, watching a news report about political disputes. "If this is their idea of governance, they're hardly a threat. And look at their wars," another added, pulling up historical footage. "Petty, small-scale conflicts. They waste their resources fighting each other instead of advancing their civilization. They're nothing but short-sighted savages." The commander, however, was not so easily convinced. He ordered deeper analysis, particularly of human military history. The data painted a starkly different picture. Despite their apparent disarray, humanity's resilience was undeniable. Time and again, they had faced overwhelming odds, plagues, natural disasters, invasions, and emerged stronger. One video captured their attention. It showed an old battlefield, scarred and lifeless, yet hauntingly beautiful in its testament to survival. The narration described a tactic called guerrilla warfare, where small, under-resourced groups had defeated empires through cunning, adaptability, and relentless determination. "This is different," the commander said, breaking the silence. "They weaponize unpredictability. They don't just fight, they adapt. They endure." The squad shifted uncomfortably. Their own species valued precision, discipline, and overwhelming force. The idea of embracing chaos as a strategy was alien to them. As the ship sensors swept across Earth's surface, the aliens noted another oddity: humanity's diversity. Skin tones, languages, customs. No two groups were the same. Such variance would have fractured any other species, yet humans thrived on it. The commander leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as he studied the data. "Perhaps their strength isn't in spite of their differences," he mused. "Perhaps it's because of them." For the first time, the squad felt a flicker of doubt. They had come expecting to study an inferior species, but what if humanity was something else entirely? The Varlok squad descended to Earth under the cover of their advanced cloaking devices, landing in an expansive forest far from human settlements. Their objective was to gather first-hand observations of humanity in action, particularly in moments of crisis. The dense wilderness stretched endlessly before them, a stark contrast to their regimented and artificial homeworlds. Their mission was straightforward: remain unseen and record human behavior under natural duress. Within hours of their arrival, an opportunity presented itself. A crackling sound echoed through the forest, growing louder with each passing second. One of the soldiers analyzed the air composition and confirmed it: wildfire. Flames consumed the forest at an alarming rate, surging with an almost sentient fury. Animals fled in all directions, the fire's roar drowning out everything else. The squad activated their protective shields, impervious to the growing inferno, and observed. Soon, human responders arrived. At first glance, the humans seemed disorganized. Vehicles rumbled onto the scene, carrying men and women in protective gear. They shouted to each other, their voices barely audible over the flames, but there was an underlying rhythm to their chaos. The aliens watched as they sprang into action, establishing a command center and dividing into teams. "What are they doing?" one soldier asked, perplexed. "They're rushing toward the danger, not away from it." The commander remained silent, studying the humans' movements. The firefighters employed simple tools, axes, hoses, and machines that seemed primitive by Varlok standards. Yet they worked with precision and urgency, carving fire breaks and dousing flames with remarkable efficiency. One firefighter stood out, a woman leading a team into the heart of the blaze. Her face was streaked with soot, her movements deliberate and confident. The aliens zoomed in on her, analyzing her vitals. Her body was pushed to its limits, elevated heart rate, dehydration, exhaustion, yet she pressed on. "They're fragile," another soldier noted. "Her physiology is near collapse." "And yet she continues," the commander countered. Moments later, a tree collapsed, trapping a fellow firefighter beneath it. The woman immediately called for assistance, coordinating her team to lift the burning trunk while others pulled the injured man to safety. Her actions were swift, decisive, and selfless. The aliens recorded the entire sequence, replaying it multiple times. Each iteration revealed the same conclusion: humans were driven by more than survival instincts. There was something deeper, an unquantifiable force that propelled them forward even when logic dictated retreat. "They don't fight the fire for themselves," the commander observed. "They fight for each other." As the fire began to subside, the aliens noted the toll it had taken on the humans. Injuries, exhaustion, and loss were evident, yet there was no despair. Instead, the firefighters regrouped, offering support to one another and ensuring everyone was accounted for. The Varlok soldiers were silent as they watched the humans depart. Their own species would have deemed such an effort wasteful, a calculated risk with little reward. But for humanity, it was an act of collective will, an instinct to protect and preserve. The commander spoke softly, almost to himself. "Their strength isn't just in their ingenuity. It's in their bonds. They endure together." For the first time, the Varlok began to understand the source of humanity's reputation. Not their weapons, not their technology, but their unyielding spirit in the face of adversity. The Varlok squad's next mission brought them to an isolated military base where a group of human soldiers conducted a live combat training exercise. From their concealed vantage point, the aliens observed the setup: rugged terrain, mock enemy encampments, and soldiers armed with what the Varlok considered outdated weaponry. To the aliens, it looked like a crude and inefficient simulation, but they prepared to document the event nonetheless. The exercise began with an explosion that scattered the human teams. The aliens noted how quickly the soldiers adapted to the situation, communicating through hand signals and radios, moving with fluid precision. Each group worked autonomously while still contributing to the overall mission. "Decentralized command structure," one soldier remarked. "Unorthodox. Inefficient. Unpredictable," the commander corrected. "Watch closely." The Varlok squad expected the humans to follow standard tactics, advancing in formation, prioritizing numerical advantage, and exploiting the terrain. Instead, they saw a level of ingenuity that defied expectation. A small group of soldiers bypassed a heavily defended choke point by crawling through a muddy ravine, their uniforms blending with the earth. Another team used a series of distractions, flares, smoke, and decoys, to confuse the enemy and draw them out of position. The commander analyzed the patterns, running simulations in real time. The humans weren't adhering to any strict protocol. Each soldier acted based on their unique perspective of the battlefield, yet their decisions complemented one another seamlessly. "They're improvising," a soldier said, astonished. "How can they maintain cohesion without centralized directives?" "They trust each other," the commander replied. The most striking moment came when a team was pinned down by simulated enemy fire. One soldier, separated from his group, positioned himself on a ridge and began laying down suppressive fire. The squad noted his heart rate spiking, his breathing uneven, but his focus remained sharp. His actions allowed his teammates to reposition and launch a counterattack, securing their objective. "Why would he expose himself like that?" an alien asked. "He risks elimination for the sake of others." The commander responded thoughtfully. "Because to humans, the mission is collective. They view sacrifice as a form of victory." As the exercise concluded, the humans reviewed their performance, exchanging feedback and ideas. The aliens observed the camaraderie among them, the laughter, the shared sense of accomplishment, and the acknowledgement of each other's efforts. These were not merely soldiers, they were a cohesive unit bound by something the Varlok struggled to define. The squad analyzed humanity's history further, now with a new lens. They saw countless examples of similar behavior, small groups overcoming insurmountable odds through ingenuity and cooperation. They began to understand that humans were not limited by their individual weaknesses because their strength lay in their collective adaptability. They weaponized their flaws, one alien observed. No, the commander said, his tone quiet but firm. They overcome them. That's what makes them dangerous. They don't just adapt, they thrive in chaos. The Varlok soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time, they felt the weight of the mission. These humans were not the primitive beings they had dismissed. They were something far more formidable. Back aboard their ship, the Varlok squad convened in the command chamber. The data collected from Earth had been meticulously analyzed, and the findings left an air of discomfort among the soldiers. The humans were unlike any species they had encountered, messy, unpredictable, and far more dangerous than their initial assessments had suggested. They lack precision, one soldier said, scrolling through a report. Their methods are chaotic, their equipment outdated. Yet the results speak for themselves. How do they consistently prevail? The commander stood at the center of the room, reviewing the final report. It outlined humanity's key traits: adaptability, ingenuity, resilience, and an unshakable drive to protect one another. The evidence was undeniable, but the implications were even more profound. Humans do not win because of superior resources or advanced technology, the commander said. They win because they refuse to accept defeat. They innovate, they adapt, and they endure. The squad was silent, each member lost in thought. To the Varlok, war was a precise science, strategies executed with cold efficiency, battles won by overwhelming force. Humanity's approach defied those principles. They fought with creativity and emotion, turning every disadvantage into an opportunity. Perhaps their diversity is the key, one soldier offered. They draw strength from their differences, each perspective contributing to the whole. No single strategy defines them because no single strategy can. Another soldier added, and their willingness to sacrifice. We observed it in their firefighting and their military exercises. They view personal loss as acceptable if it benefits the group. Such selflessness is unsettling. The commander nodded. It is more than selflessness. It is a collective instinct. They do not simply fight for survival. They fight for each other, for ideals, for something greater than themselves. That is why they are lethal. Their strength lies not in what they have, but in who they are. The room darkened as the commander activated a simulation. It depicted a hypothetical conflict between the Varlok and humanity. The Varlok's superior technology allowed for an initial advantage, but as the simulation progressed, the humans adapted. They developed countermeasures, exploited weaknesses, and used unorthodox tactics to destabilize the Varlok forces. By the end, humanity emerged victorious, not through brute strength, but through ingenuity and relentless determination. The soldiers shifted uneasily. For a species they had considered primitive, humans had proven to be an existential threat. "What do we do now?" one soldier asked. The commander deactivated the simulation and turned to his squad. "We leave them in peace." The declaration surprised the soldiers, but the commander continued. "To provoke them would be to invite disaster. Instead, we must learn from them. Study their methods, understand their motivations, and perhaps forge an alliance. Humanity's greatest strength is not in their ability to destroy, but in their capacity to build, to cooperate, and to persevere." The decision was unanimous. As the Varlok ship departed Earth's orbit, the commander stared at the blue-green planet on the screen, a rare expression of respect crossing his face. "These humans," he murmured, "may be the universe's most dangerous warriors. But they may also be its greatest hope."